Have you ever felt drained after explaining yourself to people who don't even care to understand? How many times have you found yourself justifying your dreams, defending your choices, or waiting for approval to move forward? Dear brothers and sisters, let's pause and reflect. Why do we spend so much energy proving ourselves to people when we were created to seek the pleasure of only one, Allah Almighty? Every second spent seeking people's validation is a moment stolen from our own growth. The moment we shift our intention inward, purely for the sake of Allah Almighty, everything begins to change. You no longer need to prove your worth because your worth was already written by the one who created you. Islam teaches us to live with sincerity, to do good silently, and to trust that Allah Almighty sees every effort, even those hidden from the world. Sometimes our greatest weakness is not lack of ability, but our constant urge to be understood. But here's the truth, not everyone deserves access to your heart. Not every opinion matters. Allah Almighty says in the Quran, then whoever puts their trust in Allah, then He alone is sufficient for them. When you do something for His sake, when your focus is no longer on gaining approval from others, but rather on fulfilling your purpose, a beautiful shift happens inside you. You become calm, you become focused, and most importantly, you become free. You are no longer chained to people's expectations. You start walking your path with sincerity and peace. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, part of someone being a good Muslim is leaving what does not concern them. Think of that. How much lighter would life be if we simply let go of what was never ours to carry? When your heart is constantly pulled in the direction of others' opinions, your soul becomes tired, you begin to lose clarity, you question your decisions, you doubt your worth. But when you reconnect with Allah Almighty, when you remind yourself that you are His servant, not the world's performer, you reclaim your strength. You're not here to impress. And you don't need to announce your journey, you just need to begin. In Islam, there is great reward in silent, consistent effort. Our faith is not about noise, it's about sincerity. It's about striving in secret and trusting that the one who sees all sees you too. Ask yourself this, would you keep trying to explain your heart to someone who doesn't even want to listen? Then why keep doing that with the world? The truth is, when you stop explaining and start growing, people begin to notice, not because you're louder, but because your character shines through your silence. Real strength is quiet. Real growth is hidden until it blooms. Just like a tree takes root underground before it ever reaches the sky, your growth begins in the unseen. When you water your soul with remembrance, with prayer, with the Quran, with sincere intentions, the results will come, and they will come from the one who never forgets an ounce of effort. Stop waiting for the world to clap. Start living to please the Creator of the heavens and the earth. Let today be the day you take your energy back. Let this moment be the beginning of something sacred. Say Bismillah and start walking toward your goals silently, consistently, and purely for Allah Almighty. You don't need to explain yourself. You just need to show up for yourself, for your purpose, and for your afterlife. And when you do, the same people who doubted you will one day ask how you did it, and you won't have to say a word. Because your success will speak for itself, and your Lord will reward you beyond what anyone else can ever give. So guard your energy, protect your focus, and walk with intention, because every step you take sincerely, Allah Almighty sees it, and He never lets any good go to waste. Have you ever wondered why you feel so drained at the end of the day, even when you've done nothing meaningful? That's the quiet cost of wasted energy. Your attention, your emotions, your focus. All of these are blessings from Allah Almighty. They are not unlimited, and they are not yours to scatter aimlessly. In Islam, we are taught that everything we have is a trust. Allah Almighty says in the Quran, indeed, the hearing, the sight, and the heart, about all those will be questioned. So where is your energy going? Are you feeding your soul, or are you allowing the world to slowly drain it away with distractions and noise? We live in an age where constant input surrounds us. Notifications, opinions, demands, pulling our focus in every direction. But Islam gives us something far more valuable than this noise. Clarity. Clarity to choose where to direct our hearts. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, take benefit of 5 before 5, your youth before your old age, your health before your sickness. One of those blessings is your free time. It slips away quietly, moment by moment. When you use your energy in ways that serve your faith, uplift your soul, and align with your purpose, it multiplies. It returns to you with divine blessing. But when you use it to chase meaningless things, it disappears and leaves you feeling empty. Your energy was never meant to be wasted on what doesn't serve your afterlife. Think of your energy like a bucket of water. If there are small holes leaking from every side, a conversation that drains you, a habit that weakens you, a distraction that steals your attention, then by the time you get to what really matters, your bucket is empty. This is what many people experience daily: fatigue without fulfillment, effort without impact. But the solution is simple and deeply Islamic. You must patch those holes. You must protect your soul from what drains it. That means saying no to gossip, saying no to endless scrolling, saying no to environments that pull you away from remembrance of Allah Almighty. Because if you don't protect your heart, the world will consume it and leave you with nothing but exhaustion and regret. Our energy thrives where it is respected. When we invest our time in prayer, in learning, in charity, in kind words, we find ourselves spiritually energized. That's not a coincidence. That's divine blessing. When we spend time with those who remind us of Allah Almighty, when we sit in gatherings of knowledge or listen to the Quran with sincerity, our hearts feel at peace. And when our hearts are at peace, our energy returns. If you feel constantly tired, constantly off balance, ask yourself, am I living in alignment with my purpose? Am I protecting my soul or letting the worldly life take from it little by little? These questions are uncomfortable but necessary, because your soul deserves rest, and rest comes when your energy is rooted in faith. So let today be a renewal of that trust. Your energy is a trust, use it wisely. Start placing your attention where it matters, in prayer, in gratitude, in meaningful action. Choose your company with care. Protect your space, reclaim your day. Every drop of energy you give should either bring you closer to Allah Almighty or help someone else do the same. Anything less is a theft from your purpose. The world will continue to ask more of you, but you don't have to give it everything. You just need to give your best to the right things. And when you do that, you'll feel lighter, calmer, and more in control, because your energy is no longer scattered, it's directed, it's preserved, and most importantly, it's aligned with the one who entrusted you with it in the first place. Have you ever started something with passion only to give up a few days later? That's the difference between motivation and discipline. Motivation feels good, it lifts you up in a moment, but discipline carries you through the days when nothing feels easy. And Islam teaches us this balance with beautiful clarity. We are not expected to always feel enthusiastic. We are expected to stay committed. Allah Almighty says in the Quran, and be patient, for indeed Allah is with the patient. Patience is a part of discipline. It's what keeps you moving forward even when your heart is tired. The Prophet, peace be upon him, reminded us, the most beloved deeds to Allah are those done consistently, even if small. That is the secret, consistency, not intensity. In a world chasing quick results, Islam teaches us to honor slow, steady progress. Think about the prayer. It comes every day, 5 times a day. Whether we feel inspired or not, it's a discipline, a divine rhythm that centers the soul. Imagine if your life followed the same rhythm. Imagine if your goals, your growth, your healing, all were built through small daily steps. That is where true transformation lives. Not in bursts of excitement, but in acts of discipline that you return to again and again. When you discipline your soul, you give it structure, and structure protects you when emotion fails. It becomes your anchor in the storm. And when you stay anchored, no wind can break you. Discipline is not about being perfect, it's about showing up even when you don't feel ready, even when you're tired, even when your heart whispers, not today. That's where the reward lies, in the unseen effort. The early mornings when you choose prayer over sleep, the quiet evenings when you choose reflection over entertainment. These moments may seem small, but they build something powerful inside of you, spiritual resilience. You learn to honor your commitments. You learn to silence the excuses. And you learn to keep your word, not to people, but to yourself and to Allah Almighty. That is what builds character. That is what earns divine blessing. That is what makes the soul grow, even in silence. And here's something we often forget. You don't need to feel motivated to be consistent. In fact, waiting for motivation is one of the biggest traps of modern living. The people who succeed, the ones who rise, they don't wait to feel inspired. They build routines, they set intentions, and they act regardless of how they feel. That is what Islam teaches us with daily prayer, with fasting, with remembrance. Faith is a journey of action, not just emotion. You don't always have to feel strong. You just need to keep walking, keep trying, keep returning. And when your steps are sincere, even if small, Allah Almighty increases them. He turns them into something beautiful, something lasting, something rewarded. So the next time you feel like giving up, remember this. Your discipline is a form of worship. Your consistency is an act of faith. When you keep going, not for the world, not for approval, but for Allah Almighty, you will always find strength. You may not see results immediately, but you are planting roots. You are becoming firm. And in time, just like the seed that waits patiently beneath the soil, your growth will break through. Don't underestimate the power of small, consistent effort. That is how hearts are purified. That is how dreams are built. And that is how step by step you become the version of yourself you were always meant to be. Strong, sincere, and guided by the light of discipline. Have you ever noticed how noisy the world has become? Everyone seems to be announcing their plans, their goals, their every move. But here's something powerful that Islam teaches us. Not everything needs to be said. Not every intention needs to be shared. There is a deep strength in silence, a peace in doing things quietly for the sake of Allah Almighty. Say, indeed, my prayer, my worship, my life and my death are for Allah, Lord of the worlds. That is the essence of sincerity, doing something purely for Him without needing applause. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, actions are judged by intentions, not reactions, not attention. Just your intention, your heart, that's where true value lies. When you do something sincerely, even if no one sees it, Allah Almighty sees, and what He sees, He rewards. There's something incredibly peaceful about not needing to explain yourself, about letting your actions speak louder than your words, about trusting that the right people will notice, not because you're shouted, but because your growth quietly shines. In fact, when we talk too much about our plans, we often lose the energy to execute them. Science even shows that publicly announcing goals can trick the brain into feeling as if something's already been achieved. But Islam teaches the opposite. Stay quiet, do the work, and let the results speak. That's excellence, beautiful conduct in action, hidden from the world but known by Allah Almighty. Silence protects your intentions. It protects your energy. When you share too much with the wrong people, you invite doubt, envy, and unnecessary commentary into your journey. How many dreams have been slowed down because of one negative voice? How many good ideas were abandoned because someone else couldn't see the vision? This is why the pious used to hide their deeds like they would hide sins. Not out of fear, but out of love. Love for purity, love for sincerity. They knew that the more hidden an act is, the more protected it becomes. And in that hiddenness is reward. In that silence is strength. In that privacy is peace. The kind of peace the heart longs for in a noisy, chaotic world. Let your growth be quiet, but strong. Let your heart be known to Allah Almighty more than it is known to people. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. The one who truly matters already knows the effort you're putting in. He knows your tears, your late night prayers, your silent sacrifices. And He never lets them go to waste. One of the most powerful things you can do for your soul is to stop announcing your growth and start nurturing it in solitude. Talk to Allah Almighty more than you talk to people. Share your plans in prayer. Pour your dreams into your prostration. That's where clarity comes. That's where courage comes. That's where divine blessing begins. So choose silence when it protects your peace. Choose sincerity when the world demands performance. And choose Allah Almighty when everyone else is watching. Let them see the results, but never the process. Because your journey is sacred, your transformation is personal, and your relationship with your Creator is beyond words. Keep your focus inward. Keep your intentions pure. And keep walking in silence, knowing that every step taken for His sake is recorded, multiplied, and rewarded. The more sincere you are, the less noise you need, because in the end your deeds will speak, and your Lord will respond with a reward no human praise can match. Have you ever felt like your mind is constantly crowded, not with your own thoughts, but with noise from the world around you? News, opinions, trends, gossip, deadlines, all pressing in, all screaming for your attention. This is not how the soul was designed to live. The human heart was meant to remember, to reflect, to feel. And yet most of us are caught in constant distraction. Islam gives us a powerful solution. Eliminate the unnecessary. Protect your focus. Allah Almighty says, and do not follow that of which you have no knowledge. Indeed, the hearing, the sight, and the heart, about all those will be questioned. You don't need to absorb everything. You need to protect your peace. Distractions don't always come in obvious forms. Sometimes they wear the mask of urgency, a message you feel pressured to reply to, a conversation that leads nowhere, a social event that leaves your spirit tired. These things steal your energy in small, unnoticed moments. And over time, they add up, leaving you feeling empty and off track. That's why the Prophet Muhammad gave us a beautiful guideline. The example of a good companion and a bad one is like the carrier of musk and the blacksmith's bellows. Who are you sitting with? What are you listening to? What are you feeding your soul every day? These aren't small questions. They shape your future. We all want clarity. We all want peace. But many of us fill our days with the very things that steal those gifts from us. Endless scrolling, meaningless arguments, comparing our lives to someone else's highlight reel. These things are not harmless. They clutter the heart, they blur your vision, and they make it harder to hear the voice of your own soul, the voice that longs for meaning, purpose, and connection with Allah Almighty. If you're constantly feeling overwhelmed, this might be the reason. It's not that you're failing, it's that you're surrounded by noise. The kind of noise that pulls you further from your purpose without you even noticing. To eliminate noise, you have to be intentional, set boundaries, limit screen time, be selective with conversations, choose your environment with care. And most importantly, reconnect with silence, true silence, the kind that lets your heart breathe again, the kind that makes space for the remembrance of Allah, the kind that opens a window for the Quran to enter and settle. Because when you start removing the noise of the worldly life, you begin to hear the tranquility of your soul. And in that silence, you'll find something priceless, closeness to Allah Almighty. You'll find that what you were chasing in distractions was always available in your prayer, in your remembrance, in your stillness. So let this be your reminder. Protect your space like you would protect a precious garden. Not everything deserves to enter. Not every voice deserves your ears. Not every thought deserves your focus. You are not weak for saying no. You are wise. And Islam supports that wisdom. It calls you to clarity, to simplicity, to inner peace. Eliminate the noise and you'll begin to hear what really matters. The quiet guidance of Allah Almighty is calling you back to yourself, back to purpose, back to peace. And once you taste that peace, you'll no longer trade it for the noise of the world, not for anything. Have you ever felt like something unseen is weighing on you? You pray, you plan, you try to stay positive, but the heaviness doesn't go away. That heaviness is often the result of an unprotected mind, a heart that's been left open to everything and everyone. In Islam, we are taught that the heart is sacred, the soul is delicate, and your mind is a doorway to both. What you allow in will shape what you carry inside. This is why Allah Almighty reminds us in the Quran, verily, in the remembrance of Allah, do hearts find rest. Your soul was not created to absorb everyone's negativity, every opinion, every piece of bad news. It was created to remember, to trust, to rest in Allah Almighty. Too often we give away access to our peace without realizing it. We let other people's energy enter our space. We allow gossip, criticism, toxic relationships, or pessimistic thinking to take root in our hearts. And slowly, without knowing how, we begin to carry burdens that were never ours to hold. But the solution is clear. Protect your mind. That means guarding what you watch, what you listen to, and who you spend time with. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "A man is upon religion of his close friend. So let one of you look at whom he befriends." This isn't just advice, it's a spiritual warning, because your soul is shaped by your surroundings, always. Think of your heart like a clean white garment. Every negative word you hear, every toxic thought you entertain, every time you allow doubt to fester, it's like staining that garment. Over time, those stains darken your clarity, your peace, and your ability to trust Allah Almighty fully. But when you protect your heart, when you guard your mind with remembrance, with prayer, with good company, you preserve its purity. You allow light to enter. You build resilience against the unseen harms that surround you. It's not weakness to step away from toxic people. It's strength. It's self-respect. And in Islam, it's part of emotional and spiritual purification. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is, I don't accept this into my life. Say it to negativity, say it to bad influences, say it to anything that distances you from Allah Almighty. You don't need to please everyone. You don't need to keep every door open. Some doors lead to darkness. Some people plant seeds of doubt, not love. Protecting your soul doesn't make you distant, it makes you wise. It means you're finally choosing what nourishes your spirit over what entertains your ego. It means you've realized that peace is too expensive to trade for anyone's approval. And once you feel that peace, real rooted soul deep peace, you'll fight to protect it like nothing else. So let today be the day you raise your standards for what enters your heart, your mind, and your space. Replace idle talk with remembrance. Replace overthinking with prayer. Replace toxic company with those who uplift your faith, and watch how your life transforms. Because when you protect your soul, Allah Almighty blesses your steps. He removes what harms and replaces it with what heals. And that kind of protection, that divine peace, is worth every sacrifice. The world will always try to pull you into chaos, but your soul was made for something more. It was made to return to Allah Almighty clean and at peace. So start protecting it today. That is the beginning of a life truly worth living. Have you ever wondered why your efforts feel invisible sometimes? You're trying, you're praying, you're holding on, but nothing seems to be changing. In those moments, remember, your journey is not unseen. Every small act, every quiet sacrifice, every tear in prostration, it is recorded, it is cherished, it is growing something, even if you can't see it yet. Allah Almighty says, so whoever does an atom's weight of good will see it. That one step you take in silence, one intention no one knows, one sincere act done in the dark, it matters. Growth often begins underground. Just like a seed must break before it blossoms, so must we. Pain, silence, struggle, these are not signs of failure. They are signs that something is forming, something rooted in divine timing. The mistake many make is assuming that success must be fast, that transformation must be obvious, that Allah Almighty works in ways we cannot measure. What feels like delay is often preparation. What feels like stillness may be protection. The Prophet, peace be upon him, told us, if you were to rely upon Allah with the reliance He is due, you would be given provision like the birds. They leave early with empty stomachs and return full. That is complete trust in Allah, pure unshaken reliance. It means you show up, you take action, you walk with discipline, but you leave the outcome to Him, because He sees what you cannot, and He's never late, not once. We're taught to do our part, then surrender, not to people, not to outcomes, but to Allah Almighty. That surrender is not weakness, it's strength. It means your heart is no longer depending on results, but on the one who controls them. That's where peace comes from. That's where certainty grows. And in that space, even when life doesn't make sense, your heart is calm, because it knows Allah Almighty never wastes effort. The people who achieve real, lasting success are not always the most talented or the most visible. They are the ones who trust, who stay consistent, who keep going, even when no one is clapping, because they know the one who counts is always watching. So trust the process, trust the slow days, the quiet weeks, the unseen efforts. When you give your energy to good things, prayer, learning, healing, service, it never disappears. It is multiplied, sometimes in ways you see in this life, sometimes in ways you won't see until the hereafter. But either way, nothing is wasted. You may not have it all figured out. You may not feel strong every day. But if your intention is for Allah Almighty and your steps are steady, then you're already succeeding. One small choice at a time, one prayer at a time, one step at a time. That's how mountains are moved. That's how souls are purified. So dear soul, don't stop, don't give up just because the world is silent. You're not walking alone. Your Lord walks with you. He sees the effort, He sees the struggle, He sees the faith, and He promises, indeed, Allah does not allow the reward of the doers of good to be lost. Keep moving, keep trusting, keep guarding your energy, because when you protect what Allah Almighty has given you, your time, your mind, your soul, He increases you, He blesses you, and He guides you to a life that feels whole, even when it's quiet. This is your reminder. You don't need to rush. You don't need to prove. You just need to trust and do the work. The results, they belong to Him.